really the challenge with organic farming is how to farm at scale. Farms have to be more and smaller.
Yes,
Right?
I think we can reach the scaling up of organics, establishing many small and medium farms. Because when you get out of that scale and you need lots of machinery and you need lots of and you homogenize the environments, then you have lots of threats. The way you can manage the natural equilibrium in the environment has to be a lot with diversity, has to be a lot with your capacity of control in terms of a human scale.
So is that your vision for the future of farming in Cuba and the world in general?
Yes, I think I'm convinced that now we have better conditions than ever to develop small and medium farming systems, because we have more information capacities, more communication, better technology that we can adapt to the smaller scale. When the larger scale and the big enterprises and big monocultures were promoted after the Second World War, it was because the population was increasing and the economies of scale started to play a role in fulfilling the needs of the growing population. But now we see the population continue increasing and we are having more and more people going hungry. It is a paradox, and the only way we can really fight or really caution the impact of climate change and the impact of all the imbalances in the economies and in ecology in general is by putting the farming systems in a scale that can cope with the equilibrium of the natural ecosystems. I have no doubt that now we can bring the scale smaller and farmers can be more educated in a way that they can manage many of the factors that imply not only the management of the farm, but that imply more the management of the markets.
So when you begin talking about markets and ideas like that, you have to start talking about governments. Do you find that governments are open to these kinds of discussions, or what do they say?
The governments, not only in Cuba but all over the world, are concerns of food security for their populations and how to not only to produce enough food but to make that food available for the people, affordable, and so on. And at the same time, how to produce food without degrading the environment. There are many challenges. In our conditions, we have lots of opportunities and also lots of threats or lots of difficulties. But I could say, based on my studies for my doctoral thesis I defended in the Netherlands, that we could feed the Cuban population with half of its agricultural lands. In total, the agricultural lands in Cuba is 7 million hectares. If we consider 3 million hectares, then we would need to produce for, let's say, about 4 people per hectare. Mm-hmm. And that is not a big deal. And talking about low and medium intensity systems that at the same time that produce food, make other activities, services activities, educational activities.
And it is true also that producing meat makes it more difficult, right? So do your numbers, is that for vegetarian diet?
No. It's for integrated farming systems that comprise animals and crops. When you have farming systems that integrate animal and crop activities, you can gain from both. You can gain from the biomass you produce when you produce crops to feed the animals, and the other way around. Where the animals produce lots of biomass in terms of nutrients that you can use to fertilize crops. That needs to be implemented in a matrix that necessarily should be modernized, because people are not ready nowadays to spend all their lives making piles of manure.
Right.
They want an equipment that manages the manure and apply the slurries, and at the same time a kind of machine that can harvest a certain crop.
I'd like to get your opinion as a farmer on this. I'm from California, and in California there's always a struggle over water. We have much water in the north, we have little water in the south. Uno lucha para agua. There's always, is it the same here in Cuba?
I think the water shortages come after needing lots of water in the same place for the same activity. But when you spread the capacities of holding, capturing water, using the water decentralized in a centralized way, then the ecosystems give you the capacities for that.
So the problem comes when you have massive sized farms
Yeah.
in one area because the soil is fertile.
Yeah.
What you need is multiple collection zones rather than collecting one place and bringing in another.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the solution for many threats for agriculture today. Decentralize agriculture, make it in a multifunctional way, and diverse.
You said there was a paradox, even though I see we're here in the rainy season and it's very green. The last time I was here was the dry season, and I thought, oh, they're producing so much more, but that's not the case.
In reality, it's the opposite. We produce more in winter time, even if it's drier. In Cuba, we have a seasonal fluctuation. About 80% of the rains fall from April till October, and can be less in certain places. The last year, we had about 10% of the rains in the dry season. That makes a stressing situation. When you have reserves of water, then you can caution the impact of a lack of water. We use three main sources for water. The first is the underground water. We have 2 wells in the farm. Then we collect the rainwater, and we are preparing conditions to collect also runoff. In a watershed, small watershed we have, where we can make a pond. If we combine these 3 sources, then we have more water than we need. Because we produce lots of vegetables, they grow better in dry conditions and cold weather.
So you have less challenges when it's a little drier, as long as you're managing your water.
Less challenges, and that coincides also with the best moment for honey production. And we produce lots of honey. And now we have about 100 hives.
So how much honey are you producing now?
Now we expect to produce this year about 10 tons of honey.
Wow. So I was here a little over a year ago and they produced half that.
Yeah.
So you've doubled your honey production in
a year and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
And now the people from the honey enterprise are arriving.
Okay.
I was waiting for them.
So this part of the interview is over. The honey people are here. Gracias.